Welcome to this Neocharge installation video. Watch this installation video and get all the benefits of saving time and money with the easy and quick installation, and having a safe and energy efficient system operation with the optimum Neocharge sensor location in the system. In this installation video, we will show you where to find the precautions related to the Neocharge installation, where to find the technical data related to the Neocharge installation, a short introduction to the Neocharge and how to use it in the industrial refrigeration system. What is included in the Neocharge box when unpacking it? How to ensure that the Neocharge clamp with sensor will fit to a given evaporator tube size. How to mount the Neocharge sensor into the clamp. How to locate, orient and fix the clamp with sensor onto the evaporator tube. How to insulate the Neocharge sensor after installation. How to locate and orient the pressure transmitter and temperature sensor, which are accessories and which are used for standard superheat measurement. Where to find information about the Neocharge electrical installation and which precautions to take. So keep watching this video to learn more about these objectives and explore the full potential of a correct Neocharge installation. When installing the Neocharge, it is very important to pay special attention to the given precautions. Here you see listed these precautions. You can find these precautions in the installation guide, which is delivered with the Neocharge and also available on Danfoss.com. Here you see listed the technical data related to mechanical installation of the Neocharge. When doing the mechanical installation, it is very important to pay special attention to these technical data and very important to do installation according to legal requirements and given practice. You can find the technical data in the installation guide, which is delivered with the Neocharge and also available on Danfoss.com. Here you see listed the main technical data related to electrical installation of the Neocharge. When doing the electrical installation, it is very important to pay special attention to these technical data and very important to do installation according to legal requirements and given practice. You can find the technical data in the installation guide, which is delivered with the Neocharge and also available on Danfoss.com. The Danfoss Neocharge is a complete solution for controlling refrigerant injection into industrial evaporators. The Neocharge addresses two main applications. One application is controlled circulation rate systems, also called CCR systems, which essentially are traditional pump circulation systems. Here, the Neocharge ensures that the circulation rate is kept low at both full and part load conditions, thereby minimizing the refrigerant charge while keeping the efficiency of the evaporator. The other application is wet direct expansion systems, also called WDX systems, which are traditional direct expansion systems. Here the Neocharge ensures zero superheat out of the evaporator, thereby optimizing the system efficiency. The Danfoss Neocharge consists of an EKE 450 controller, a Neocharge sensor and a clamp to fix the sensor to the evaporator tube, electronic injection valves, which are specifically designed for CCR and WDX systems, and which should be ordered separately, and finally, a solid-state relay. The EKE 450 controller controls the electronic injection valve based on signals from the Neocharge sensor. There is also a pressure transmitter and a temperature sensor available, which are accessories and which should be ordered separately. These are used for standard superheat measurement. Here you see more details about the Neocharge. There are 4 code numbers available, all including controller, sensor, clamp, and solid-state relay. Which code number to order and use depends on the given power supply and given outer diameter of the evaporator tube as specified. As also seen here, then the different parts included also have separate code numbers and can be ordered separately as spare parts. Please note that before ordering the Neocharge, then always measure the outer diameter of the evaporator tube where the clamp with sensor will be mounted. This is to ensure that the correct code number is ordered. You can also see more about this later in this video. Besides this, then there are different accessories available as specified here. Do you need to find more information about the Neocharge and how this solution will optimize your refrigeration system? Then check Danfoss.com or scan the QR code shown here. This brings you to the Neocharge literature, videos, and other relevant material and information to support you. Okay, you now know where to find the precautions and technical data related to the Neocharge installation. You have also been introduced to the two evaporator applications where the Neocharge is used. All this ensures that you have access to the installation safety and technical data, and it ensures that you understand in which applications the Neocharge is used. So let us now unpack the Neocharge box and install the clamp with sensor correctly onto the evaporator tube. Here you see what is included in the box with the Neocharge when you unpack it. As seen here, the box includes an EKE 450 controller, a Neocharge sensor, a sensor clamp and a clamp insert to adjust the clamp to different evaporator tube outer diameters. And finally, a solid-state relay. Please note that there is an installation guide included in each of the boxes. So let us get started with the installation. As seen here, then there are two sizes of sensor clamps depending on the outer diameter of evaporator tubes. Therefore, as mentioned earlier in this video, it is important to measure the evaporator tube diameter already before ordering the Neocharge to ensure that the correct code number is ordered. However, as also mentioned earlier and as seen here, then there is a clamp insert included for both clamp sizes so that the clamp can be adjusted to the given outer diameter. Therefore, you need to measure the tube outer diameter as shown here to see if the clamp insert is needed. This is to ensure that the clamp with sensor will fit correctly onto the evaporator tube. In this example, we measure the diameter to be 20 millimeters. Since we have measured the evaporator tube outer diameter to be 20 millimeters, then we need to use the clamp with the insert included. Therefore, ensure that the insert is in place as shown here. Then click the Neocharge sensor into the clamp as shown here. The location of the Neocharge sensor on the evaporator tube depends on the type of evaporator system. For a CCR evaporator system, the Neocharge sensor should be located on the most loaded evaporator tube, meaning the tube with most gas in the outlet. This will give the most liquid in the evaporator outlet. This means that for a CCR bottom feed evaporator, then the sensor should be located on the tube closest to the air inlet as shown here. And for a CCR side feed evaporator without or with a distributor, then the sensor should be located on the tube in the middle of the outlet as shown here. For a WDX evaporator system, the Neocharge sensor should be located on the least loaded evaporator tube, meaning the tube with least gas in the outlet. This will give the least liquid in the evaporator outlet. Therefore, the best sensor location is often on the evaporator tube furthest away from the center of the airflow, as shown here, with different types of distributors included. The procedure of mounting, orienting, and fixing the Neocharge clamp with sensor onto the evaporator tube is the same for all the evaporator systems mentioned earlier. In this example, we mount the clamp with sensor on a CCR bottom feed evaporator system, as indicated here. Therefore, open the sensor clamp and place it on the evaporator tube. Then close the clamp. Ensure that the clamp with sensor is oriented in one of the two positions specified here. Push the clamp screw into place in the clamp and tighten the screw as specified here so that the clamp with sensor is firmly fixed to the evaporator tube. Ensure that the sensor is clear from the evaporator side as indicated, and recheck that the clamp with sensor is correctly oriented on the tube, as mentioned earlier and specified here. Once the clamp and sensor mounting is completed, then ensure to insulate the Neocharge sensor, as shown here. You can, for example, use 16 mm Armaflex as insulation. Okay, you now know what is included in the Neocharge box when unpacking it. And you know how to mount the Neocharge sensor in the Neocharge clamp and how to mount the sensor and clamp assembly correctly on the evaporator tube. Finally, you know how to insulate the Neocharge sensor after installation. All this ensuring a safe and energy efficient system operation. So, let us then look at how to locate and orient the pressure transmitter and temperature sensor, and finally, where to find information about the Neocharge electrical installation. The pressure transmitter and temperature sensor are accessories and they are used for standard superheat measurement. We recommend that the pressure transmitter is installed so that it is pointing upwards as seen here in this example. It is important that the pressure transmitter is not installed too far away from the evaporator due to pressure drop in the suction line. For a WDX system, you should always install the temperature sensor on the common evaporator outlet tube. Consider using a pocket if the tube diameter is larger than approximately DN40. For a CCR system, you can install the temperature sensor on the evaporator tube next to the Neocharge sensor, or on the common evaporator outlet tube if the diameter is not too large. Here you see a diagram which shows how to electrically wire and connect the Neocharge sensor together with the solid-state relay and the EKE 450 controller. You also see here a photo with an example of how the solid-state relay is located and wired to the controller. In this example, there are 3 solid-state relays and controllers for 3 evaporators. The solid-state relay has a built-in leakage current suppression circuit which stops the relay from switching to on position due to the leakage current from the EKE 450. As specified, then we strongly recommend that you use the solid-state relay when connecting the Neocharge sensor to the EKE 450 controller. Because of the built-in leakage current suppression circuit, it is very important that the relay is used to break the plus 24 volt line. Do not connect the relay to break the minus or negative line, as this will leave the relay in constant on position. In this video, we do not show detailed wiring of the Neocharge sensor, solid-state relay, and EKE 450 controller. This should be done only by authorized personnel according to the given technical data, legal requirements, and given practice. You can find more information about the electrical installation in the installation guide, which is delivered with the Neocharge and also available on danfoss.com. As mentioned earlier in this video, then you can also scan the QR code shown here to access the Neocharge information on danfoss.com. So, you have now completed this video about the Danfoss Neocharge installation. This means that you know the evaporator applications where the Neocharge is used. You know how to unpack the Neocharge box. You know how to ensure that the Neocharge clamp will fit to a given evaporator tube size. You know how to mount the Neocharge sensor into the clamp. You know how to locate, orient, and fix the clamp with sensor onto the evaporator tube. You know how to insulate the Neocharge sensor after installation. You know how to locate and orient the pressure transmitter and temperature sensor. And finally, you know where to find information about the Neocharge electrical installation. All this ensuring a safe and energy efficient system operation. Have a look at the other online learnings about the Danfoss Neocharge solution. Thanks for watching.